Russia may send thousands of soldiers from North Korea to the front lines in Ukraine by the end of the year. Who will Britain send to Ukraine? The chief of the General Staff of Poland mentioned when he would bomb Russia. And let's not forget about my favorite Dmitry AlkoMedvedev and his Sunday post while hungover. I'm Maria Drutska and I will tell you about this and more. North Korean soldiers are supporting ground operations of Russian troops in Ukraine, and by the end of the year, thousands of North Korean military personnel currently training in Russia may be deployed to the front lines. This is reported by the Washington Post, citing South Korean and Ukrainian officials. A representative of Ukrainian military intelligence, speaking on the condition of anonymity, stated that several thousand North Korean infantry soldiers are currently undergoing training in Russia and could be sent to the front lines in Ukraine by the end of the year. He added that North Korean officers are already in the occupied territories of Ukraine to observe Russian troops and study the battlefield, but official Kiev has yet to see any North Korean units engaged in combat. The Ukrainian military intelligence officer noted that it remains unclear where the combat units trained in Russia will be deployed on the Ukrainian front. According to him, Moscow may use them in border regions of Russia, freeing up Russian troops for combat operations in Ukraine. He said this could have a significant impact, especially if we are talking about releasing the reserves within Russia itself, the intelligence officer said. Some South Korean experts believe that it's a possible scenario. The Kremlin denies, of course, the involvement of North Korean soldiers in the war against Ukraine. Reports about these North Korean soldiers supporting Russians in the occupied territories of Donbas surfaced in Telegram channels and Ukrainian media last week as well. An article by Espresso TV states that Ukrainian partisan movement SROK, which stands for Death to Russians, Occupants and Collaborators, claims that its representatives have established the whereabouts of North Korean military personnel in the occupied part of Donetsk. The corresponding message appeared on the movement's Telegram channel on Sunday, October 13, 2024. It has been reported that 3 training grounds are actively operating in the Mariupol area, particularly highlighting a site near the village of Sartana, equipped with the involvement of the North Korean contingent. Intensive artillery training is taking place there, contradicting claims of a shell shortage. North Korean instructors are setting up the training ground and likely feel confident and safe at the moment, as many residents of this community, Ukrainians, have actively collaborated with the occupiers, the Ukrainian partisan movement SROK noted. Before I continue, guys, I want to thank all of you who sent coffees on Buy Me a Coffee and become patrons. Please do so. If you want more videos on the channel, you can also help this channel by subscribing to it and like this video, as it will definitely help Ukrainian content to be seen by many people. I suggest you also subscribe to my X page, where I post regular updates about the situation in Ukraine, and to my Instagram, where I show the daily life in Ukraine. Russia wants to involve North Korean military personnel in the war. After the situation in the Kursk region, the Kremlin realized that conscripts are not capable of fighting effectively. This was reported by Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation. The story about the enemy preparing North Korean soldiers is about the future attempt to have Koreans guard the Russian border, reinforcing the bodyguards and some conscripts, Kovalenko explained. He stated that Russia saw in the Kursk region that FSB, which oversees the bodyguards as well as the conscripts, are not able to fight effectively. Conditionally, Putin wants Koreans from Kim's side to be the one captured, if it comes to that, at the head of the center. Well, I don't know, guys, what to make of it. Why wouldn't Putin just quickly exchange, perhaps even primarily, these soldiers 2 hours, for example? Let me know what you think about this idea, because I believe generally this indicates, firstly, that Putin has problems with mobilization and reserves, and they are struggling to maintain offensive actions as actively as they have until now. Ukrainian fields are littered with Russian fertilizer, and of course, North Koreans will be very useful for Russians. However, it creates significant problems for us, Ukrainians, because in a war of attrition, both sides exhaust themselves or each other. But we see that Putin is facing major issues now. Yet, thousands of Koreans could lead to negative consequences, of course. But I read another interview on this topic and I want to share it with you. According to Yong-ho Kim, the deputy director of the Korean Institute at George Washington University, there may be North Korean special forces in Ukraine. He mentioned this in the interview with Voice of America. The professor was asked what he believes the purpose of the possible presence of North Korean military personnel in Ukraine is. He said, as is known, Putin and Kim Jong-un signed a new comprehensive partnership agreement in June of last year. North Korea refers to this as a treaty of alliance, although Putin has never called it an alliance. However, North Korea was thrilled about this new partnership. Well, the agreement stipulates that if either party is attacked by a third party, the other must provide military assistance. It is evident that Russia claims Ukraine has attacked them, they are at war with Ukraine, and under the agreement, North Korea is obliged to provide military assistance. Military assistance is something they need as Russia requires soldiers. Many Russian soldiers have been killed, he said, and they need ammunition, of course. Therefore, both ammunition and infantry soldiers are what Russia is truly seeking from North Korea, according to the professor. However, sending a large group of soldiers would be somewhat risky for North Korea. If this were revealed, it would have enormous consequences for their military stance against South Korea, and they do not want to weaken their military position. Therefore, Professor Kim suggests that if they did send troops, they would likely deploy special forces. North Korean special forces are known to be very effective and strong. North Korea has been preparing for a new war on the Korean peninsula for decades. They have previously sent military personnel to Africa and the Middle East. He said, I'm not sure if they're still doing this, but indicates that have a high efficient training system. Their equipment is outdated and they don't have a large budget compared to South Korea or even, well, of course, the United States. However, if you look at North Korea's economy, they allocate a significant portion of their budget to military industries and personnel. When asked whether these soldiers could have a significant impact on the battlefield, the professor responded, I don't think they intend to make massive military contribution. At least they are not capable of doing so, but is in exchange for potential military assistance from Russia, such as missile technology or anything related to nuclear capabilities, or other economic help like gas, oil, coal, or grain. North Korea may send ammunition and special forces. He said, I don't think they have the hard currency to pay Russia for these supplies. I found the professor's insights very useful. What do you think about this? Let me know, guys. The British military is considering sending troops to western Ukraine to train new recruits, according to a report from The Times, citing British and Ukrainian sources. The primary plan involves small groups of British instructors arriving in western part of Ukraine to conduct intensive basic training for new soldiers before they are deployed to the front lines. According to the report, this approach would address logistical difficulties involved in sending Ukrainian soldiers to the UK for training and would also save costs. A British defense official noted that holding training sessions in Ukraine would be more affordable and efficient, and the sessions could be organized more quickly and in safer areas far from the front lines. Ukrainian sources added that shifting training to Ukraine would send a significant military and political signal to both the international community and Russia, acting as a potential deterrent. Additionally, British troops would have the opportunity to learn from the combat experience of Ukrainian soldiers and test the latest weapons used in the war. Well, I think the claim about gaining combat experience is a bit of a stretch. After all, combat experience is earned on the combat areas on the battlefield, as far as I understand. And Western Ukraine, thankfully, is far away from that. Or perhaps we just don't know everything. In any case, this seems like a smart idea, and I hope that as many NATO countries as possible send their instructors to Ukraine. Everyone would benefit from this, I think, and it would also send a strong political message of support. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Should foreign instructors be sent to Ukraine or another red lines? Share your opinions in the comments below. If Russian troops cross the border into the Baltic states, there will be an immediate response. This was stated by the Chief of General Staff of Poland, Raymond Andrzejczak, at the Defending Baltics conference. Not on the first day, but in the first minute. We will strike all strategic targets within 300 kilometers radius. We will attack directly on St. Petersburg, assured the Chief of Staff on Poland. He believes that European countries must take the initiative into their own hands and make it clear to Russia that an attack on Poland or the Baltic states would mark the beginning of total confrontation. Andrzejczak argues that this is the only way to deter the Kremlin from such aggression. To this end, Poland is procuring 800 missiles with a range of up to 900 kilometers to be used in the event of a Russian attack. We must be able to respond immediately on our own without waiting for decisions from certain NATO capitals about whether to invoke Article 5, he emphasized. And as I expected, guess whose response was not long in coming? Especially now, it's Sunday evening, entered Dmitry AlkoMedvedev with his drunken rants, fueled by yet another glass of Finlandia. Here's what he had to say. Another brave Czech has appeared. The former chief of the General Staff of speed-covered Poland, Andrzejczak, is threatening Russia with an attack directly on St. Petersburg. The retired fool should remember the numerous partitions of Poland and stop waking the beast. The Warsaw was part of Russian Empire once. Missed it already, he said. And just to keep you entertained, here are a few more of Medvedev's lunatic paragraph. The Prime Minister of enemy Britain, Starmer, told the filthy green Ukrainian neo-Nazis, Storm Shadow won't win you the war. But the only phrase that he left that he should have added that you will not win the war at all because Ukraine doesn't exist. Your country is 404, a phantom. We will simply start punching Finnish diplomats straight in the face, Medvedev said. Every representative of Finland's diplomatic corps right in the mug. The organizers of a possible attempt on Trump's life should be sought among frozen liberals, supporters of that senile fool and cackling Harris, and among the crowd of pro-Ukrainian scoundrels nurtured by the Democrats over the year of war against Russia. Well, that's it. For today, I want to thank all of you for listening to this, supporting Ukraine, watching Ukrainian content. Please like this video and if you really like it. And if you want more videos on the channel, you can support it. Its development on Patreon or buy me a coffee. See you soon. And Slava Ukraini!